Hello YouTube. Today I am reviewing a knife that is very near and dear to my heart. That is the Spyderco Endura 4. I've been carrying it on and off for maybe 7 or 8 years. I've developed quite a bit of insight as to what makes it a good knife and where Spyderco could have improved. Spoiler alert, almost nowhere. Most of you know already that this is a rather large knife. Here it is next to a Sebenza 21. So it has a little bit of reach on a large Sebenza, and a whole lot smaller than its, big, inexpensive counterpart, the Resilience, which is what I consider a big knife. Again, I have enormous hands, so to me, ergonomically, this knife is a gem. So if we go over the things that I would say Spyderco could have improved, the list is incredibly short. First and foremost, there's no sharpening choil, and I know I have serrations, we'll get to that. That's a little bit annoying. There's almost no reason not to put one on a knife. It's really not any extra work, but what can you do? I mean, nowadays it's a $60 knife. Maybe it was $115 or so when I bought it. It depends. Also, I paid brick and mortar. And there's a whole lot of knife that sticks up out of your pocket. I myself do not mind that. I find this much acceptable. I know a lot of people don't like it. For me, it makes the knife easier to access and pull out, and it allows me to, I like to pat myself down to make sure nothing's falling out of my pockets or whatever, and I like to not have to reach into my pocket. I can, just casually brush my hand over my waist. I can feel that knife's there. It's secure. I don't think a deep carry for me is necessary, but for other people, it definitely is. And I think for those people, they would prefer to have a deep carry clip, which is an option. It doesn't come stock with a knife, but they can be found. Now, when it comes to the stuff that's good, there is a lot of thought that went into this product. First and foremost, ergonomically, in my opinion, it is the most comfortable Spyderco I have ever touched. And this is over a PM2, this is over a Resilience, not pictured. It is over a Delica, it's over a Tenacious, it's over a Persistence, over a Sleesh Buoy, over a Carahawk. I've handled, it's over a Sage, over a Mannix, even over a Native for me. Now, that is not something I think is universally true across the boards. I know that because of my incredibly big hands, a lot of things that feel good to other people don't feel so good to me. So if you're someone that wears XX size gloves, Endura might be the knife for you. It feels great. Other pros. Now, this is a little one that's overlooked. If you see carefully here, if you observe, the pocket clip falls right on that little Spyderco emblem, that little flat part, and it really it makes slipping this into your pocket a dream. It actually slips in really nice. I know it's something, I think I've heard one other YouTube reviewer bring it up. I'm not sure who it was, but I've heard someone else mention it, and it was something I thought I was the only person to ever notice, but it really is nice. It really does not eat up your jeans as bad as you would think after a while. At first, this volcano texturing is very abrasive to clothing, and also abrasive to hands. For me, I didn't have a lot of trouble with it personally, and over time it smooths out, especially over 7 or 8 years. But for the most part, know that this volcano texture could be abrasive, but if you're someone who uses your knife with gloves, it won't affect you. If you're someone with rough hands, it probably won't bother you at all. But it's worth noting. I like the size knife. I like the appearance of the knife. After it's broken in, and you've had it for a long time, these washers start to get polished. You can spider flick these, and I have this thing. It's pretty tight. It's a little looser than it could be, but I mean, this opens the same way that your PM2 opens. easy breezy. And when you get used to the one-handed mechanism that is the Endura and Delica line, it becomes very second nature to operate the tool. Other good things would include the VG10 steel. I know that VG10 steel isn't God's gift to edge retention, but I've had this thing a long time. I never use any kind of lubricant on it. I never use any kind of, oil or any rust protectant. And its corrosion resistance has been excellent. And I'm not a heavy enough knife user to where my knife needs to be razor sharp all the time, just sharp enough to open a package or some blister packaging, or split some tape, cut a tag off something, maybe slice up some fruit. I'm not a huge, insane, heavy-duty knife user, and it holds an edge long enough for most people. 9 out of 10 people would not complain about it, but if you're someone who cuts cardboard up for a living, you're probably going to want to go with something with quite a bit higher edge retention. That being said, it has stood up to a lot of abuse, things I shouldn't have been using a knife for and did anyway, and it has not corroded, it has not broke, and the edge has frankly not chipped even as far as I can remember. Back on the topic of the blade, the serrations. When I was maybe 18 or 19 is when I bought this knife with a tax return. And at the time I thought, why would you not have serrations? You get the best of both worlds. You can cut through rope, which is something I do every day working at a grocery store at the time, or a smooth edge, which was just boring and plain to me. So I got the half serrated, and nowadays, I know better. All it does is make sharpening annoying, and I'm not really a serrated guy. However, at the time also, I really liked the look of the saber grind. I didn't like full flat grinds yet at the time. It's changed now, but at the time I really didn't like them, and the Emerson Wave model wasn't an option yet. So this was the only way I could get a saber ground Endura. So if I could redo things, I'd probably go back, buy the same knife, and then later in time buy a full plain edge Endura model later. Other good things, the blade is a pretty good cutting shape. I know the serrations get in the way, but because this is Endura, you still have a lot of blade to work with, maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches. It has a little bit of belly to it. It has a good strong tip. The tip, as you can see, where's the camera at? It actually is pretty beefy behind the tip, thanks to the saber grind on it. Which probably has helped it stand up to a lot of my abuse. I've seen a lot of full flat ground Enduras snap right about here. But durability wise, it's lasted for quite a while. This actually, I don't even remember if this is the stock clip or if I swapped it with another knife. So no comment on that. I know a lot of people would prefer deep carry clip, and that's an option for you. For me, I don't really care one way or another. I'm not going out of my way to hide it from the world, but I'm not going out of my way to show it to the world either. It's just whatever comes on it, path of least resistance for me. One thing people don't like about this knife is it's really not much to look at. You can hand this to someone to slice up a box. They'll have no idea that this knife, when I bought it, was maybe $100 or $120, however much money it was. It's really, really hard to tell. For me, I don't mind. For me, this is a tool. This isn't a pocket jewelry sort of knife. This is just a tool. This is something I use on a daily basis, or have used on a daily basis, simply to execute the task of separating material. Again, there are time and places for things that are more pocket jewelry, but for this, I recommend this to someone who you want to step up from some of the lower end Kershaws or M-Tex or whatever gas station knife you might be carrying, and you're ready to spend the money. You want the name brand. You don't want the big price. You don't want to shell out the money on a PM2. You don't want to spend the money on a Benchmade, and I don't blame you, and I would recommend against it. I think a Delica or an Endura is the perfect knife for 9 out of 10 people based on their hand size. Again, for me, Delicas are a little bit 3-fingery. I have enormous hands, keep in mind, double XL. And the Endura otherwise is just an excellent knife. It takes down, it's kind of a nightmare to take apart and put back together. I'm not going to get into that too much. You can look up a Delica or Endura takedown video. It's pretty finicky and tedious and annoying. It's definitely nowhere near as easy as a PM2 or a Tenacious or any of those models. But again, it doesn't need to be taken apart that often either. I've maybe taken it apart 3 times in the last 8 years. And just to put some nano oil on or a little bit of grease, whatever I had at the time. But the fit and finish, I mean, it's all there, even though the knife's plastic. The screws haven't stripped out on me yet. The steel has not corroded. The steel has not chipped. The steel has not broken. The action has just gotten smoother. All things considered, it seems as if the knife actually gets nicer the longer I have it. Again, this is something that's just very near and dear to my heart. It's the first high-end knife that I bought that I still have. The first being a Benchmade Adamus. Was not crazy about it. Frankly, there are very few knives in the Benchmade line I am crazy about, but I'll go over that later when I review 1 or 2 of the ones I do like. But overall, from Spyderco, I think this is a very solid option. I would recommend it to anyone. It's a great gift for you know, a buddy or a brother or a husband or a wife with really big hands. But yeah, Spyderco Endura 4 probably will always remain one of my favorites, though I'm not carrying it lately. Highly recommended. I guess that'd be it. Thank you guys for watching. Again, this is my first video with my first knife, and I hope you have a good day.